Chosen one, sit still for just 1 minute. What is about to be spoken over your life will not be repeated. Not by me, not by anyone, not in any season that comes after this one. Because God does not send words like these to the same person twice, and the reason is not scarcity. The reason is finality. Some messages from heaven are written to land once, sink deep, and do the work of an entire lifetime in a single hearing. You are not here because you got bored. You are not here because the day was empty. You are here because a Father who has watched every quiet sacrifice you ever made has timed this exact minute to deliver to you a word he drafted years ago. The carriers in the unseen realm have moved heaven and earth to get it to you intact. So, do not measure this hour by what your eyes can see. Measure it by what your spirit can feel. The room is full, the air is heavy, your name is on the message. And once the message is delivered, the next chapter of your life begins. Everything I am about to share with you is yours, freely, in the next 37 minutes. But if at any point your spirit tells you there is something more you are meant to walk with, you will find a note in the description and the pinned comment below. Only if you feel led. Before we begin, let me show you what is waiting for you in the next 37 minutes, so you understand why staying matters. I am going to walk you through 5 specific signs that confirm this message belongs to you. I am going to show you what Mary and Samuel both had in common before their once-in-a-lifetime words arrived. I am going to deliver the 3 areas of your life that the message is about to reorganize. I am going to teach you a practical method I call the stillness protocol, a way to receive a sealed message without distortion. And, at the very end, I am going to close this with a sacred sealing that places your name on what is being released today. Stay with me. The richest part of this message lives in the second half. Let me start where you actually are, in this real moment. Most people watching content like this right now are scrolling through 3 other tabs in their mind. They are half here. They have already split their attention between the words on the screen and the next thing they think they need to do. You are not doing that. Something in you settled when you pressed play. Something in you asked you to slow down. That is not random. That is the first thing I want you to notice. The stillness around you right now is not empty space. It is preparation space. A scroll cannot be opened in a noisy room, and the moment your spirit chose to be still, the atmosphere shifted. You probably cannot prove that with anything tangible, but you can feel it. The air in this moment is doing something it does not always do. Stay with that feeling. We are going to build on it. Here is the first sign that this is your one-time message. In the last few weeks, you have probably noticed a heaviness sitting in your chest at quiet moments. It does not show up during the busy hours. It shows up when everyone has left, when the house is silent, when you are alone with your own thoughts, and the heaviness has no medical explanation. You are not sick. You are not anxious in the clinical sense. This is not anxiety. This is spiritual weight being delivered into a vessel that was being prepared to hold it. The Father does not send a one-time word without first stretching the receiver. That heaviness is the stretch. The second sign is the tears that have been showing up without explanation. Maybe you have caught yourself crying at moments that should not have triggered tears. A song you have heard 100 times. A photograph you usually walk past. A line in a book that should have been ordinary. And the tears did not come from sadness. They came from something deeper. Something you could not name. This is not breakdown. This is pre-delivery, emotional softening. The vessel has to be soft to receive what is sealed. Your tears are the softening. The third sign is the loss of tolerance for surface-level conversation. People in your life have probably noticed you have changed. Maybe they have said you are quieter, or distant, or hard to reach. And when you try to engage with the conversations you used to enjoy, the small talk, the gossip, the noise, it now feels almost painful. You cannot stay in those rooms anymore. This is not depression. This is frequency calibration. The Father cannot deliver a personal scroll into a person who is still tuned to general broadcast. Your reduced tolerance is the tuning. The fourth sign is the repeating numbers you have been seeing. Look at the clocks you have caught in the last 30 days. 11, 11, 4, 40, 4. The same numbers showing up at the same moments. You probably tried to dismiss them once or twice, but they kept coming back. That is not coincidence. Those are confirmation timestamps. Heaven uses numbers because numbers cannot be reasoned away by your mind. Every time you have seen them, the Father was confirming that the message was almost ready. The fifth sign is the specific word or phrase that has been showing up 3 or more times this week from completely unrelated sources. A stranger said it, a book mentioned it, a friend used it in a sentence that had nothing to do with you, and every time you heard it, something inside you flinched in recognition. That is not random, that is a pre-message echo. The Father always sends the echo before he sends the word, because the echo prepares your ear to receive without distortion. Once, just once is enough to reorient a life. Once, just once is enough to seal a season. Once, just once is enough to write you into a new identity. Once, just once is enough, and you are standing inside that once right now. But before I tell you what the actual words say, you need to understand who heaven chooses for these one-time deliveries. Because the choosing is not random, there is a pattern. And once you see the pattern, you will understand why this hour belongs to you and not to the person scrolling past this same minute. Stay with me. What comes next is the bridge between the signs you have been noticing and the words that are about to land. Throughout every generation, the Father has delivered single sealed messages to specific people, not crowds, not movements, specific people. And when you study the lives of those who received these one-time words, you find something unusual. They were not the loudest in the room. They were not the most accomplished. They were not the ones the world expected to be chosen. They were ordinary people, walking through ordinary seasons, doing small acts of quiet faithfulness that nobody was applauding. And then, on an ordinary day, in an ordinary moment, the heavens broke open over their lives. Two people from very different stories help us see this pattern clearly. The first is Mary, a young woman in a small town. The second is Samuel, a young boy sleeping in a temple at night. Both of them received a one-time word that changed everything. And what they had in common is what I need to show you next. Let me show you Mary first. She was a young woman, probably still in her teens, living in a town called Nazareth. Nothing about her life looked extraordinary. She was not a leader. She was not famous. She was not the daughter of anyone the world considered important. She woke up every morning and did the ordinary things that ordinary people do. She had been faithful, quietly, in the smallness of her days. And one evening, in the middle of an entirely unremarkable hour, a messenger appeared in front of her with a sealed word from heaven. And here is the part that matters for you. That message was the first time she had ever received a personal word from God. She did not have a track record of prophetic dreams. She did not have a history of supernatural visitations. The first message was the message. Heaven did not warm her up with smaller deliveries. The full word arrived in one delivery, and after it was spoken over her, she carried it for the rest of her life. There was a woman I will not name, in her late 40s, who had been waiting on a calling for 15 years, doing quiet work nobody saw. She told me she received her one-time word during the most ordinary Tuesday morning of her entire life. She was making coffee. The kettle was boiling. And in that exact second, the message dropped into her spirit so clearly she had to sit down. The delivery looks ordinary because the recipients are already extraordinary. They just did not know it yet. You might be thinking Mary was special because of who she was about to become. So let me show you a completely different person, in a completely different season, in a completely different culture. Watch what they had in common, because this is the pattern that points to you. Samuel was a young boy. He was not a king. He was not a prophet yet. He was sleeping in a temple at night, doing the smallest tasks that anyone could give a child to do. The older priest in the temple, a man named Eli, had served God for decades, and yet the voice of the Father had grown quiet over Eli's life. And in the middle of an ordinary night, while Samuel was asleep, he heard his name called. He thought it was Eli. He got up. He went to Eli. He said, "Here I am." Eli sent him back. The voice called again. The same thing happened 3 times, and on the 3rd time, Eli realized what was happening, because he could no longer hear what Samuel could hear. The voice was coming on a frequency Eli had lost access to, and Samuel, the youngest, the smallest, the one with no track record, received a one-time word that night that set the course of his entire life. Here is what you need to notice. Both Mary and Samuel had been walking through unremarkable seasons of quiet faithfulness. Neither of them had been broadcasting their devotion. Neither of them was on a stage. And both of them, on an ordinary day, in an ordinary hour, received a sealed word that was never repeated because it never needed to be. So, let me show you the 3 reasons heaven keeps you in seasons that feel unremarkable before sending you a one-time word. The first reason is to strip the false identity from you, because if the message lands on the performing version of you, the part of you that is always trying to be seen, the message will distort. The Father waits until you have grown tired of performance, until the version of you that needed applause has gone quiet, and only then does He send the real word. The second reason is to slow your hearing. A loud life has a loud inner voice, and that inner voice will always interrupt a sealed message. The silence you have been walking through was not punishment. It was preparation. Your hearing was being slowed down to the frequency on which the message would arrive. The third reason is to make you the kind of person who does not require repetition. Heaven does not pour into vessels that need to be told 3 times. The wilderness made you the kind of receiver who can hear once, fully, and walk it out. And there is a practical tool I am going to teach you for staying inside that receiver state, a method I call the stillness protocol. I will give you the full protocol soon, but I need to deliver the actual words first, because the protocol is for after reception, not before. Receive the message, then receive the method to keep receiving. Before I deliver the 3 areas, there is one piece of science you need to know, because Mary and Samuel had it in common, and it explains why one-time deliveries land at all. Neuroscientists have identified a specific brain state called gamma. It is the frequency the brain operates on during moments of deep intuition, sudden clarity, and what some people call flow. When you study the moments people describe as life-changing downloads, you find their brains were almost always in gamma. The problem is that modern life suppresses gamma. By the age of 7, most people have lost daily access to it. There is a tool, a researcher named Dr. Lake spent decades developing a 7-minute audio track called the Genius Song. It uses sound to bring the brain back into gamma in less than 7 minutes. It is not magic. It is not required for receiving today's message. It is simply a tool that calibrates the receiver. If your spirit is already pulling toward this, the link is in the pinned comment and the description below. Only if you feel led. Now, let me return to the words being placed on my heart for you. Let me deliver the actual words now. These are the words being placed on my heart for you, and I will speak them in 3 parts, 3 specific areas of your life that the message is touching. Receive each one slowly. Do not rush through them. A sealed scroll cannot be skimmed. It can only be read, line by line, with full attention. So, slow down with me. The first thing you need to understand is the language being used. In the original Hebrew, the word for word is dabar. And dabar does not just mean speech. It means a word that creates the thing it names. When the Father speaks a dabar over your life, reality begins to reorganize around it. The message is not describing what is going to happen. The message is causing what is going to happen. This is why words like these come only once. They do not need a second delivery, because the first delivery is already creating the next season. So when I begin to speak each of the 3 areas over you, do not hear them as predictions. Hear them as construction. The Father is building something with each word that lands. The 3 areas the message is touching are these. The first is your relationships. The second is your purpose. The third is your provision. I will deliver each one in turn, and I am going to slow down even more when I speak them, because each area carries instructions, declarations, and confirmations that you need to receive cleanly. So take a slow breath with me before we step into the first area. We are about to walk through the doorway you have been waiting for. The first area I want to deliver is the area of your relationships, and here is what the Father is saying. And the Father is saying this: the people you thought would be in your life forever are about to begin shifting. Some will exit quietly, some will exit loudly, and some, the ones you tried hardest to hold on to, will be the first to go. You are going to feel a grief during this season that has no clear cause. You will be in rooms full of people and still feel alone. And here is what He is asking you not to do. Do not chase the people who are leaving. Do not try to explain yourself to them. Do not apologize for becoming who you are becoming. The version of you they knew was a version you outgrew, and the relationships built on that old version cannot survive the upgrade. I hear the Father saying this clearly. The right people are coming. People who understand your language without translation. People you will not have to perform for. They are already on the road. Trust the exit. The exit is making room for the arrival. And the second area the message is touching is the area of your purpose. The thing you thought you were called to is about to begin feeling small. And this is going to confuse you, because you have built a lot of your identity around that calling. The Father is not removing your purpose. He is upgrading it. The real assignment, the one that has been forming under the surface for years, is about to come to the surface. And when it does, you are going to feel like an imposter, because the new assignment is going to be bigger than you feel ready for. Here is what He is asking you not to do. Do not force premature visibility. Do not announce what is forming before the formation is complete. Most chosen ones lose their calling by trying to monetize the seed before the tree has finished growing. And here is what He is asking you to trust. Your purpose will not have to be earned. It will recognize you when you walk into it. The door will open by itself, because the door was built for you while you were still in the wilderness. Before I deliver the third area, the area of your provision, I need to show you what blocks reception, because provision is the area where most chosen ones miss the message. They hear the first 2 areas, and then they lose the third. Watch carefully. Here is the practical tool I promised you, the stillness protocol. It has 3 parts. The first part is the 7-minute silence. Once a day, you sit in complete stillness for 7 minutes. You do not meditate. You do not pray. You do not try to do anything. You simply receive. 7 minutes is the threshold the brain needs to drop into the receptive state. The second part is the echo test. When a specific word, phrase, or image shows up 3 or more times in unrelated sources within 7 days, it is a message. Trust the echo. Do not dismiss it. The third part is the documentation act. When the message lands, write it down within 24 hours. If you do not document it, the surface mind will distort it into something more comfortable, and the original word will be lost. And now the third area the Father is touching, provision. The resources you have been waiting for are beginning to arrive, but here is the part most chosen ones miss. The resources are not going to arrive in the channel you have been watching. They are coming in unfamiliar shapes, through people you did not expect, in forms that may not look like provision at first. The Father is asking you not to reject what comes in just because the form is different from what you imagined. Provision is going to arrive dressed in plain clothes, just like the message itself. Recognize it when it knocks. Now, before I show you the practical tool that helps you stay inside the receiver state for the long haul, and I will show you, there is one more thing I need to settle in your spirit first. Because if I give you the tool without settling this first thing, you will use the tool from the wrong identity, and the tool will not work the way it was designed to. So let me close one loop before I open the next. Let me ground you in what just happened, in plain language, so you can carry it cleanly. Here is why all of this matters. You came into this hour carrying a quiet question. The question was whether heaven still sees you, whether your waiting has counted for anything, whether the next season is actually coming. Today you received an answer to that question in 3 parts. Your relationships are reorganizing, your purpose is surfacing, your provision is arriving in shapes you have not yet learned to recognize. That answer is yours to keep. Here is what you specifically learned in the last 30 minutes. You learned that one-time messages from heaven arrive on a specific brain state called gamma, the frequency that Mary and Samuel were both operating on when their words arrived. You learned the stillness protocol, the practical method for staying in the receiver state, with its 3 parts, the 7-minute silence, the echo test, and the documentation act. You learned the Hebrew word dabar, the word that creates the thing it names, and the reason why the message you just received is already constructing your next season. And here is who you are after receiving this. You are no longer the person waiting for confirmation. You are the confirmation. You are the recipient of a sealed scroll, with your name across the top. You are the answer to the quiet prayers you have been praying for years. And the practical question now is how to stay inside the receiver state long enough for the message to fully integrate into the rest of your life. That is what I want to show you next. Dr. Robert Lake spent 34 years studying the relationship between brain frequency and receptive states. He worked alongside researchers at MIT and Princeton and several other leading research institutions. And what he discovered, after decades inside research labs, is that gamma frequency is not just a brain wave. It is the carrier signal for what the human mind experiences as intuition, sudden insight, and direct knowing. People who report life-changing one-time downloads, the kind that reorganize a person's entire life in a single moment, are almost always in gamma when those downloads occur. The problem he uncovered is that gamma is naturally dominant in young children, and most people lose daily access to it by the age of 7. He named this the decline effect. The modern world, the education system, the constant noise, all of it teaches the brain to drop out of gamma and stay in lower, survival-oriented frequencies. And once you lose gamma access, sealed messages become almost impossible to receive cleanly. The reason you have always felt different is that you were born with higher gamma access than the people around you. Chosen ones almost always show this pattern. You feel more, you hear more, you sense things others miss. And the modern world has been slowly smothering that sensitivity since you were a child. Your overwhelm, your tiredness, your inability to stay in shallow rooms, all of it is the residue of a gamma-sensitive nervous system trying to survive in a low-frequency environment. You were not built for that environment. You were built to receive. And the scroll being opened over your life today, the one with your name across the top, requires a specific frequency to be received without distortion. That frequency is gamma. The Father designed your nervous system to operate on it. The world taught your nervous system to leave it. And what I am about to show you is the tool that calibrates you back. A woman named Diane sent me a message a few weeks ago. She had been stuck for years on a single question about her calling. She started using the tool for 7 minutes a day. On the 11th day, the answer to her question dropped into her so clearly she said it felt like the room had opened. Now her results are her results. Some people hear within days, some people take weeks. The honest truth is that this tool calibrates. It does not guarantee. And if you are hesitating because you have been disappointed by spiritual tools in the past, I understand. Every chosen one has been there. So let me give you the data, not the marketing. 18,366 people have used this tool. Less than 4% have requested a refund, which means over 96% of the people who used it and kept using it long after the guarantee window closed. That is not marketing. That is the actual track record. The tool is called the Genius Song. It is a 7-minute audio track that uses sound technology to guide your brain into gamma. You listen with headphones. That is all. Let me show you what this would normally cost. If you walked into a private neuroscience clinic for a gamma stimulation session, you would pay between $300 and $500 per visit. If you went looking for comparable digital frequency tools online, most retail at $79 to $99 per track. Dr. Lake's original list price for the Genius Song was $49, but for people who arrived here, through this message, in this exact hour, the price is $39. It is not on Amazon. It is not on any other website. It is only available through the link in the pinned comment and the description below. Delivery is digital. The audio file arrives in your email within minutes of ordering. There is no shipping fee, and every purchase comes with a 100% money-back guarantee, with no limit on how many times you listen before requesting a refund. And here is the only urgency I am going to give you, because I do not believe in manufactured pressure. The urgency is not the price. The urgency is the season. You are already inside. A scroll has been opened over your life today. The message has been delivered. And the question is whether you are going to walk into the next chapter with your receiver state calibrated, or whether you are going to walk into it the same way you walked into this last season. There is something you need to protect yourself from. Other websites have started selling audio tracks with similar names at higher prices. Those are not the original. The original, from Dr. Lake, is only at the link in the pinned comment below. If your spirit is led toward this, the link is below. Investigate it only if you feel called. And then, however you choose, come back to me. We still have the most important section left. Now, back to what matters most, your identity in this moment. There is going to be a voice inside you that has been speaking in the background of this entire video. Maybe you have noticed it. The voice has been saying things like this. This is too specific to be for me. Maybe I am projecting. Maybe I am hearing what I want to hear. Maybe other people are more deserving. Maybe I am imagining the whole thing. I want to name those thoughts directly, because they are not random, and they are not your enemy. Those thoughts are the old version of you protesting its own dissolution. The version of you that needed proof. The version that needed to earn its chosenness. The version that could not believe the good was real. That version is dying, and the doubt you are feeling is the sound of its dying. Let me reframe each of those voices for you. The first reframe is this. If you are doubting, the doubt is the proof. People who are unprepared do not doubt. They consume content like this casually and move on with their day. The fact that something inside you keeps pulling back to test this, pulling back to ask whether it is real, is the signature of an authentic recipient. Doubt is the first response of every person who has ever received a one-time word. Mary doubted. She asked, "How can this be?" Samuel doubted. He ran to Eli 3 times before he realized it was the Father. Doubt is not the absence of chosenness. Doubt is the proof of chosenness. The second reframe is this. Unworthiness is not your truth. It is the residual voice of the season that is just now ending. You have heard that voice for so long that you started to think it was yours. It is not yours. It is the echo of a season that is closing today. So let me give you permission, on behalf of the Father, for what I hear him saying to you right now. You are allowed to receive what you did not earn. You are allowed to be specifically chosen, even when you cannot explain why. You are allowed to outgrow the version of yourself that needed proof. You are allowed to walk into a season without apologizing for its arrival. You are allowed to be the recipient of a once-in-a-lifetime word. Receive that permission. It is sealed. And now the message wants to seal a new identity over you. Remember what I showed you about Mary and Samuel. Here is what they had to release before they could fully receive. They had to release the idea that they were ordinary. They had to release the idea that nothing significant could happen in their unremarkable lives. And the Father is asking you to release the same thing today. You are the one who was watched. You are the recipient, not the messenger, and that is the harder calling. You are the answer to your own quiet prayers. What felt like silence was a scroll being written. What felt like delay was ink being mixed in the unseen realm. What felt like loneliness was the carriers walking your message across barriers that you could not see. What felt like waiting was heaven timing the delivery so the message would land at the exact hour you were ready to receive it. And before I close this with you, I want you to do something with me. If you are somewhere safe to close your eyes, close them now. If you are driving, just keep your attention soft on the road. And in your imagination, picture a sealed scroll being placed gently into your hands. Feel the weight of it settle. Take 3 slow breaths with me. 1, 2, 3. The scroll is yours. The message is sealed inside it. And whenever you need to remember this hour, return to that scroll in your mind. It will always be there. Let me pause here for a moment. We have walked together from the opening of a scroll to the receiving of a name. I want to honor what just happened in this hour. You showed up. You stayed. You did not split your attention. You let the words land. That is a kind of faithfulness most people no longer know how to practice. And the Father is honoring it right now. So before we seal this, picture with me one last time the version of you that needed proof, the version that needed to be told twice, the version that kept asking whether it was real. Hold that version of you in your mind for a moment, and then let it fall. You do not need it where you are going. You never needed it as much as you thought. Let it drop gently and walk forward without it. And so, I declare these words over your life right now. You are seen, you are sealed, you are sent. Seen by a Father who has counted every quiet sacrifice you ever made. Sealed by a scroll that bears your name across the top. Sent into a season designed specifically for your frequency, your sensitivity, your calling. The scroll is sealed. The message has been delivered. The next chapter of your life begins now. Walk into it slowly. Walk into it with reverence. And remember always that what was placed in your hands today was never going to be repeated, because it never needed to be. And so it is. If this message landed somewhere real in you, leave one word in the comments below. Just one word. Sealed. So I know it reached you. And if you know another chosen one walking through a long waiting season, send this to them quietly. Heaven scheduled this meeting between them and these words a long time ago. They are waiting for it to arrive.